what I received today to share with you is this idea of boundaries without resistance. And this is because often when we are learning to set boundaries with people, we almost feel this needs to be needs to be some resistance there. And I feel like this is due to just programming and thinking of boundaries as these like walls and very much trying to keep people out or things out. And so when we're starting to learn to set boundaries on an awakened journey, and it can be really difficult because we see the source in the other person, we see them with love, we see them with compassion, yet they do certain things to let us know it's time to learn how to set boundaries. And so this has been happening to me quite a bit in this last year. And so I feel like I've gotten to a good place on how to navigate it. And what I see emerging is there's two ways to have a boundary. There's the having a boundary that's in alignment with the truth of who you are with love, or there's having a boundary that's out of alignment, which is coming from fear. And fear, of course, is resistance, and resistance is fear. So you'll know if you have a resistance because you'll set a boundary and then you'll see the person and then you'll like shrink, get small. And this is because whenever we have resistance, we contract, we constrict, we get tense, we maybe don't want to be seen, want to hide, or just freeze. Both of those I used to do all the time. So learning new ways to navigate. And so, yeah, this is, I feel, again, from this programming of boundaries are kind of like walls, but they don't have to be. And what I received was this kind of vision showing that when we have resistance, that's like a wall, an energetic wall that we're creating in between ourselves and another. And what it says is, if you even come close to my wall, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to see it as an attack and prepare for attack. And it's this fear, guilt, whole thing playing out. And then the other way to have a boundary is kind of like how, say, your front lawn and your neighbor's front lawn, they are kind of going together. There's no fence or anything, but when you've stepped off of your front lawn onto your neighbor's front lawn. So it's a more of a subtle boundary. And the difference internally is that when you set a boundary that's in alignment, you're not saying the other one has done anything wrong. You let them make their choices. And you don't judge it, you don't put guilt upon it. They make their choice, but you get to make your choice, and your choice is what's best for you. And so that is what's in alignment. And for me, I've learned to heavily rely on connection to my higher self as I navigate out of all these programs and patterns, to know what that looks like. And what I've found in these different examples and scenarios I've been in is that the main thing for me is just to stay in my heart as much as possible and open to the guidance, because for everything that happens in the external world, I know I'll receive the exact best thing to do, whether that is to what to say, literally word for word what to say, to walk away, to just not say anything, to not smile, to smile, etc. It's just like you can't write a manual for this. It's more of like tuning into yourself and what you receive, because your higher self is giving you all the answers in real time. So it requires no forethought. And that was very difficult for me, because I used to be always thinking of all these different scenarios in my head, trying to sort out what I would do, what's best to do. But the shift has been to just be present and trust that I will always receive what's best to do in the moment, because that is, by example, that's happened again and again and again and again. So I know that this is going to continue, and knowing that, I can trust it more, and it makes it easier to come back to the present and move in this way. Because we want to be able to set boundaries but remain open. Because if we're closed, if we're in resistance, we may not receive the information that's available to us. Yet when we're open, we're always able to receive what's best for us in that moment and all moments. So having a boundary in resistance is very, very difficult, because you're just going off what the mind conjures up. And so when you shift to having a boundary that's in alignment, you are able to remain open. You are able to have love and compassion and even gratitude for the people who are helping you to learn how to create boundaries. And in that state, gratitude, compassion, love, they're all in an open state. Those are all emotions in the frequency of love. And all emotions in the frequency of love are in alignment. And when we're in alignment, we are open to receive. And so this is what I have learned about this, and what I felt called to share with you today. And yeah, it feels like just a continuation of what I was doing in the books, but now I'm doing it in video form with new things, because new things come through every day. And it was funny, yesterday I had this, after I did the YouTube, I had an idea about a YouTube video. And then this morning I received this, and Spirit let me know, no, this is what is for today. So again, I don't have to plan ahead and try to come up with something. I can trust that I will receive what is best to share on this day. Exactly the same as when we set boundaries that are in alignment. And the other thing that was coming up to mention about that is speaking our truth. Simply speaking what we truly feel is the easiest boundary maker ever. It's because that I've noticed the people who had been, that I had, were helping me to set my boundaries, were the kind of people who had learned to identify when someone didn't have boundaries or wasn't going to speak up for themselves, or was a people pleaser, and so they wouldn't put themselves first. So that was a big thing, that when we put ourselves first, and when we really understand that when we do what's best for us, we're actually doing what's best for the whole. And the greatest service we could do to someone else is not please them and pander to them, but it's to be our authentic self too. And this is not necessarily out of self-preservation, although it does make life so much better when you do have boundaries. But what it is for is it provides a mirror for the other person. And so then they may come to their own conclusions, because every interaction in this life, it always benefits all parties involved. Do all parties take the benefits? Well, that's up to them. But we can take the benefits by being conscious, by being aware, by becoming curious about why we attract different things into our life. We can take the benefit to every interaction that we have on this planet. And so yeah, I just again felt called to share this message today, and I hope that it helped. All right, sending you much love on your journey. All the very best.